It's cutting into your exercise time. It's stabbing you in the back nine. And it's attacking your peace of mind. It's pain, and it's getting in between you and the life you want to live. CBD Medic targets your pain at its source. It's fast-acting relief with active OTC ingredients, plus the added benefits of THC-free hemp oil. Get back to your life with CBD Medic, available online and at CVS. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Welcome to the 10-Minute Life Lesson Podcast. I'm Jay Cleveland Payne. When this timer hits 9 minutes and 55 seconds in this recording, you'll have a fully developed life lesson that you can take with you and begin immediately implementing. The podcast falls under the umbrella of my greater personal development efforts, all under the Your Better You brand. For information on accountability coaching or to gain access to tools, tricks, or life hacks, visit yourbetteryouinfo. Thank you for joining me on the journey today. Now, here is this week's life lesson. Allow me to get a little bit real in the struggle I'm going through right now. And it's in essentially producing these things. And by these things, I mean podcasts in general, because as part of one of my companies, we produce a lot of podcasts. That's a lot of podcasts, and that's me doing the bulk of producing because it's my voice in the podcast. I do produce some things outside of other people, and so the actual motivation to get it done is they need it for their own stuff. For my podcast network, I produce the stuff that I have. And a lot of it is made for showcase purposes. A lot of it is made for fun purposes. A lot of it is vanity, to be honest. And a lot of it is a lot of actual work done day by day by day. So with the situation of making my businesses do more to take care of themselves and take care of me and the family, it's been a bit of a struggle to make sure that I'm actually providing things that are worthy of other people putting a few coins in, as opposed to just knocking off a box and keeping the thing going because it's a streak to keep alive. It's something that is affecting me, I'll say mentally. That's a good way to say it, or mentally, spiritually, how you want to say it. It's getting me down a bit in essentially getting things done. Back when I worked in full-time broadcasting, not just a few months ago, basically, this was the side gig that took up the holes in my day as they did, and it's just what it was. It was meant to be something to expand on things. Now it's the base, and the base is not performing as well as the bases do, which from a business standpoint isn't so bad. It's not doing too bad. Just the only making it rain is coming from the sky above right now as I'm recording this on a rainy Friday, as opposed to me going to someplace and tossing out dollar bills to anybody anytime soon. It is frustrating. And you feel the same frustration, I'm sure, when you're working on projects, working on things, and you just don't know how to keep motivated to keep things going. Just don't know how to put forth the effort to put out any effort, because effort is work. Effort takes energy. Effort takes time. Effort takes from your soul, if you will. It takes a lot to get ready for, to actually perform, and to come down to whatever conclusion from the effort you're putting into it. But sometimes you get to a point where there's not a lot to really put into it. You don't have much to give. It just doesn't feel right. And the more effort you do put into it, gives it even less of a response. I've talked about this before, about putting too much effort into something and then only giving you a response that's basically a meh, basically a whatever, basically a there. And that's something you need to look out for in pretty much every part of your life. Professionally, it's very important because, as I'm saying now, I'm putting a lot of effort into a lot of things, and sometimes the feedback loop does not quite come back with a great bit of feedback, and so that makes it even less likely that I'll feel like doing the same thing going forward. Even though it is important, and I believe it must be done, the fact that I know how much effort's going into it and how much effort it's going to bring back and the feelings between makes it sometimes hard to get up and get going. This also happens in relationships with people, interpersonal relationships, dealing with either a coworker from work or an actual person that you have a loving, caring relationship with. Sometimes you put a lot of effort into people for them only to rebuke you totally or just not give back as much as you believe you should be giving back. That's a total issue in itself, because sometimes we get a skewed version of what we believe love is and fair share contributions are, and sometimes that totally ruins the relationship. Sometimes makes us believe that we have relationships that don't actually exist because we just create some piece in our mind and we go with it without thinking it through. But you have to guard yourself from efforts when it looks like the effort you're putting in isn't worth it, or at least what you're getting from the effort does not give you something that's satisfying. It's easy to put this in a work type relational venue. It's something when you put in for work. If what you're doing, the inputs are not matching some sort of output, then you should stop doing it. If it's a sales thing where you're trying to sell a certain product and no one's buying it and it takes a lot of effort to put it out there, then you should probably stop putting that one on display, stop selling it. But sometimes it's not quite that easy. Sometimes it's the dream that you have been working through for your entire life, your literal entire life, no matter how long it is. And the dream seems like it's worth the effort, or seems like the end goal is worth having it there. You're just losing ground and losing time and losing energy and seeming like you're losing your mind in putting forth in keeping that dream alive. But essentially, if the return on investment does not give you really much means to really want to put more effort into it, what you're doing it for, who you're doing it for, why you're doing it for, is probably not getting very much of it either. So here's where I ask you to do one of two things. Number one is discontinue it. Give it up. Stop doing it. And it may not be as easy as walking away. It may take some time, may take a lot more energy and effort. It may take a little money if it's something that's dealing with a business and paperwork and taxes and things like that. But thing number one, prospect number one is to literally see that the writing is on the wall and this thing is never going to take off like you think it would. Not ever per se, but never to a level where it can more or less sustain itself. You have a hobby that takes a little effort and takes a little time, a little money, and every so often you can sell something. Maybe you do woodworking, you make tables, things like that. You can sell a table every so often to help pay for all the scrap and all the materials that you need. But if you're just not selling tables and you're just making things and putting them in your garage, and your garage is getting full and it's just taking up space, and the things you're making aren't very beautiful in the first place, then it might be an idea for you to give up woodworking and take up something else, something that's less time consuming, something that's less consuming in actual resources. It's a thought. And maybe this is a pivot to something else that's similar, but what you're doing right now is obviously not bringing you any joy, and it's not bringing any joy to anyone else. So you have to evaluate why you're actually still doing it. And number two, which is where I hope you'll actually go to, is evaluate who actually gets joy, or at least is supposed to get joy from your efforts. Because this is something that I'm dealing with on a business level right now, where oftentimes I create a something and then throw it out there to see who likes it, as opposed to going to people and seeing what it is that they actually like and creating something for them. It's the product issue where people are having a product, they build a better mousetrap, but then realize they're selling to people who don't have any mice to deal with. It doesn't mean that what you're doing is not worth the effort. It's just not worth the effort for the people that you think should be giving you something back. In a relationship, these relationships we build in our head, especially in this weird Facebook social media world where we see a lot of people and see the insights of their lives, and they're just not even thinking about how much they're letting people into their lives, and we become so attached to them, often to their kids, that we really do feel like we have a deep and sort of enduring relationship, when actually you're just acquaintances at some point that happens to just know a little too much information about someone else because they're a little chatty on the social media. In looking towards going forward, you need to really, really, really look. Yes, really look at who's supposed to be gaining something from what you're doing. If this is a personal thing and you're not getting anything from it, then you should stop doing it. You have that right to stop. If this is a business thing, or this is a community thing, or this is a for someone else thing, and they're not getting out of it what you think they should be getting out of it, you should make sure that you're pitching it to the right people. People who need the thing, want the thing, or want you around doing some sort of thing. It's very simple when you get to some point where you're doing something, you see the effort going into anything, and the response is not great from people, and your internal response is not great at all. You just get kind of a meh feeling. Think about giving it up and go through the steps it takes to actually officially get away from it. Don't just drop it and let it sneak back on your life. Do whatever it needs to do to get away from it. In the relationship, kill the business, pay off your taxes, get it done, and move away. Or make sure that who you're providing it for is the right audience. Maybe it's not really for you, but for someone else. Then remember that. You may not get as much out of it as you think you are, but the other person may get a whole lot more. Just make sure that other person or persons or thing or business is the right group you're trying to sell it to. That's the most important part. Who are you selling to? Why are you selling to them? And how? If they're not the right audience, then you'll never get any joy or pleasure out of what's going on. Thank you for joining us for this week's podcast. Thank you for dealing with some of the sounds of nature as the rain is coming down. I no longer have the nice, pretty studio I could rent time with at the radio station I worked with. Now I'm stuck in my home office, which unfortunately has skylights, and when it rains, it's very, very, very audible in what's going on. So sometimes it pushes back some of the scheduled things I need to do. But thank you so much for showing up on schedule. Because you listen on schedule, then I have my motivation to produce for you. See how that works there? I don't get a blah feeling from doing this, because I know there are people out there who are responding to it. So if you want to chit chat about it some more, it's very simple. Send an email to yourbetteryouinfo@gmail.com. We can talk about anything Your Better You. Go to our website, yourbetteryou.info, and you can find this podcast, more of these podcasts, also links to the sister podcast, which is even quicker. Steps Your Better You, a 90-second version of this, more or less. And you can find articles online and links to we can get together for coaching or just general relationships. We can have just a general relationship going back and forth on what I can do to help you out on those levels. Find out more about what's going on in my main life, all the crazy things happening at jclevelandpayne.net. And, of course, be here next week. We do this every single week because we, the general team around making this happen, because we and I care about you. And so you keep telling me what I need to put out there, and I will keep putting it out there with no blah, no bearing of being bored with it. I love doing these things. I love doing them for you. So keep telling me what I need to do, where I need to go. Ideas are always welcome, and I will be producing things, including another great one set for next week. Here from the 10-Minute Life Lesson, brought to you by yourbetteryou.info.
It's cutting into your exercise time. It's stabbing you in the back nine. And it's attacking your peace of mind. It's pain, and it's getting in between you and the life you want to live. CBD Medic targets your pain at its source. It's fast-acting relief with active OTC ingredients, plus the added benefits of THC-free hemp oil. Get back to your life with CBD Medic, available online and at CVS. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. It's cutting into your exercise time. It's stabbing you in the back nine. And it's attacking your peace of mind. It's pain, and it's getting in between you and the life you want to live. CBD Medic targets your pain at its source. It's fast-acting relief with active OTC ingredients, plus the added benefits of THC-free hemp oil. Get back to your life with CBD Medic, available online and at CVS. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.